Week 2 starts and sits, baby. Is J.K. Dobbins versus the Panthers.
I think he is a start. He's a must-start kind of running back. James Conner. I love this guy. This guy just goes out and produces.
Mike Evans versus the Lions. Mike is aging like red wine.
I agree with you just a little bit.
I hate this matchup for Calvin Ridley.
You copied that off me.
I did not.
That was all me.
Welcome back to Catching a Vibe. I'm your host, Drew. I'm joined by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are we doing today?
Good. Awesome. Ready to do week 2.
Yep. Week 2 starts and sits, baby.
Yep.
Week 1 was kind of iffy. We were 50-50 with our picks, but this week we're getting them all right. We're not going to miss one.
Right. We're going to help you win your league.
Yep. All right. So let's start off with our starts.
Sure.
I'll go since I'm the host.
All
My
right.
start of week 2 is J.K. Dobbins versus the Panthers. J.K. had a really good game against the Raiders. Raiders have a pretty good defense. I mean, Antonio Pierce has his guys flying to the ball. And he had 135 yards and a touchdown. Now he plays the Panthers, who many consider is the worst team in the league. And that defense stinks. So I could see J.K. having a very good day on the ground.
I agree. J.K. Dobbins, to me, is their best running back.
Yeah.
Every time he's played and he's been healthy, he has produced. So, yeah, he's clearly, to me, I think their best running back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, my start, this guy benched in my fantasy league, and I'll never do it again because I was thinking that they're not a very good team, but I'm going with Ramondre Stevenson from New England Patriots. He's the best player on their team. I mean, the quarterback plays bad on this team, so they're going to rely on running the ball. He had 25 rushes for 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 receptions. I mean, clearly he's the best player on the team. He's going against the Seattle Seahawks, which they're about middle of the pack defense. I think he's going to have a very productive day, and I got to get him in my lineup.
Yeah. All right, for my second running back start, I'm going Jordan Mason versus the Vikings. If CMC doesn't play, he is 100% lock. Just don't even mess with your lineup. But even if CMC plays, I think he's going to be limited. I don't think the 49ers are going to send their heart and soul of the team out there. Hey, try a play this week. Right. They're not dumb. They're a smart franchise. Yeah. And he dominated versus the Jets. He had 28 carries for 147 yards and a touchdown. So, he's comfortable taking that lead in the backfield. And, the Vikings looked good. I mean, they scored a good amount of points in fantasy, but they were playing Daniel Jones. Now they're playing Brock Purdy and Jordan Mason, Deebo, Ayuk. They're not going to be that good this week, and that is why Jordan Mason is a second start for me.
Right, I agree. If for some reason CMC plays, he's going to be limited.
Right.
And you saw Jordan Mason had a great game against what we thought was a top-tier defense, the Jets. He ran all over on them. I think he is a start. He's a must-start kind of running back until CMC comes back and takes vultures all his touches back. So He's a good start. My second start, I'm going with James Conner. I love this guy. This guy just goes out and produces. He's going against the Rams defense, and the Rams defense is bad. We just watched Detroit last weekend run all over on them. So I got to go with James Conner. James Conner is a good producer for you. He had 16 rush attempts last week, 50 yards, had a touchdown, finished the day with 19 fantasy points. I got to get him in my lineup. I want James Conner as my second start.
All right. So sits. So our running back sits. I'm going to go Aaron Jones versus the 49ers, the other side running back. He plays the 49ers, who I think could get out early and dominate the game. They know Darnold from him being on the team last year, so I think they could get a couple turnovers out of him. And the Vikings defense, like I said, isn't good enough to overcome that. So that is why I have Aaron Jones as a sit this week.
Oh, you're so right. San Francisco's defense is good. they're going to shut down Minnesota, and they're going to be in a negative game script where they're going to have to throw the ball, and they're going to go away from Aaron Jones running the ball. So he's not going to have a very big day for you. I agree with that pick. My sit is going to be Zamir White from the Raiders. He's going against the Baltimore's defense. Their top-tier defense. They're going to shut down the rush game, make the Raiders have to pass the ball. They're a 9-point dog in this game. So the Raiders are going to just run away from running the ball. And plus, Alexander Madison we saw last week, he's their guy they're going to throw the ball to. He's stealing touches from Zamir White. I think you're going to see a little more of that this week where Alexander Madison's going to take a lot of the production away from Zamir White. I don't want anything to do with him. I'm going to sit him down. I don't want to play him.
All right. So my second running back sit, I'm going DeAndre Swift versus the Texans. The Texans defense played great against Indy with Jonathan Taylor, who had 16 carries, 48 yards, and Swift isn't nearly as good as Jonathan Taylor. So
no,
him and Caleb Williams, I don't think looks ready yet. Until he can prove to me that he can beat a NFL defense, I don't feel comfortable starting Swift.
I agree. So my second sit's going to be Javonte Williams from the Denver Broncos. He's going against Pittsburgh's defense. Pittsburgh defense looked great last week. They're going to stop that run, and they're going to shut down Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams is already losing some of his production to McLaughlin. And so I really want to kind of stay away from Denver. They can't throw the ball. I don't think they can run the ball. So I'm definitely going to stay away from Javonte Williams.
Yeah. All right. Now our starts. We'll start with the receivers. My start, I'm going Mike Evans versus the Lions. Mike is aging like red wine nowadays. He's playing phenomenal week 1 versus the Commanders. He scored twice. He had 5 catches for 60 yards. Now he plays a weak Lions secondary, and we just saw what Cooper Kupp did to them. And last year, when the Bucs played the Lions, Mike Evans had 8 catches for 147 yards and a touchdown. So I could definitely see Evans having a big game against the Lions, and the over/under for his game is 51.5. So Vegas expects this game to be a lot of offense. So Evans should be a big part of that and eat this week.
Yeah, I agree with you just a little bit. I got the other receiver. I got Chris Godwin on that team. He's going also, like you said, against the Lions. Stafford's going to throw. Stafford threw the ball all around the Lions last week, so I think it's going to be the same way with the Bucs. I think they're going to have a big day. He's running out of the slot. Last week he had 8 targets, 8 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. And I think from watching film, the Lions like to take away the deep threat guy, over-the-top guy. So that means it's going to be slot, underneath routes. Cooper Kupp had a big day against them. He have 100 catches against them. So I think Chris Godwin's in store to have a big game. He's my start. I really like Godwin.
All right, maybe we'll have to do a side bet who scores more.
Right.
All right, so my second start for receivers, I'm going Devonte Smith versus the Falcons. Smitty had a good game against the Packers. He had 7 catches for 84 yards, a couple clutch catches for first downs, and I like his odds of scoring a touchdown this week, And I think Philly should handle the Falcons, and I just feel like AJ and Devontae take turns scoring touchdowns. So I think this is the week Smitty gets a touchdown.
I think he's going to have a big game. So my second start at the receiver position, Deebo Samuel from the 49ers. I think he's in store to have another bump. If CMC isn't there, they look at him as their Mr. Everything. He's going to run. He's going to catch passes. Hell, he might even throw the ball. You never know. So last week he had 9 targets, 5 receptions, 54 yards, 8 rushes, 23, and he fell in the end zone. He's going against the Vikings defense. They're not very good. Deebo Samuel's going to have a breakout game here. He's going to be their star.
Breakout game, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I think he's going to put up big numbers.
All right. So starting the sits for receivers, I'm going George Pickens versus the Broncos. Steelers offense looks bad. I mean, terrible. They only won the game because Boswell's kicking 6 field goals, and they're from 50 plus. So the Steelers got to show me something before I feel comfortable starting Pickens. Pickens is a awesome player. I mean, he is a great receiver. Just Arthur Smith scares me with this offense. And plus, he's going up against the best corner in the league and Pat Surtain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's going to get locked down by Patrick Surtain. He's really the only receiver on the team.
Right.
So they're going to focus on him and take him out of the game plan. And they're really just going to slow down that Pittsburgh offense, like you said, is not very good. So my first sit is going to be Calvin Ridley from Tennessee. He's going against the Jets defense. I think the Jets defense are going to bounce back from that horrible game against the 49ers. They look terrible. I think they're going to be better where everybody thought they were as a top 5 defense. So I think they're going to slow down Calvin Ridley. And like Calvin Ridley had 7 targets, 3 catches, 50 yards, only 8 fantasy points. Will Levis doesn't look like he can get the job done. I think he's gonna struggle until they figure out this game plan right here. So I'm gonna stay away from Calvin Ridley.
That's pretty smart of you. I'm kind of surprised how smart that was from you because I'm also sitting Calvin Ridley versus the Jets. I'm not sold on Mayo Man, Will Levis, and the Jets have a good defense. Sauce Gardner's probably going to be man-on-man with him the whole game. I hate this matchup for Calvin Ridley. That's why I'm sitting him also.
Yeah, you copied that off me.
I did not.
That was all me.
Yeah.
So my second sit, he had a breakout game last week, had a tremendous game, and now he lost his quarterback. I want to sit every one of these receivers on the Green Bay defense, and one is going to be her offense. Jaden Reed is definitely a sit for me with Jordan Love being out. I don't think they're going to play Jordan Love, and Malik is not going to get it done at the quarterback position. So he's going to have a long night there, and I'm going to stay away from Jordan Reed.
Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed,
yes. All right, so starting for the quarterbacks for me, I'm going Jared Goff versus the Bucs. I think Goff's going to have a bounce-back game this week. This is the highest scoring over-under this week, and the Bucs allowed the most passes against them. Goff played well in their playoff matchup last year, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 69 completion percentage. And I think Amara is going to have a bounce-back game, and Jared Goff cooks when Amara is cooking as well. So I love the Lions' offense this week.
Jared Goff is probably one of the best quarterbacks, underrated quarterbacks in the league. I agree with that pick, but it's not as good as mine. All right. I'm going with Jaden Daniels, the rookie from Washington. Last week, just the rushing upside puts him so high up. This guy ran the ball 16 times for 88 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He threw for 184 yards passing. I don't think he's going to get 2 rushing touchdowns, but I think his passing yards are coming up. He's going against the New York Giants. He might throw for 400 yards against this terrible team, the Giants. It's going to be a battle here of the 2 terrible teams. So I just think there's going to be some points scored. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels' as high upside. He had scored 28 fantasy points last week. I think he's going to be there again. So I got to start Jaden Daniels.
We'll see, guy. All right, so my sit for quarterbacks is Joe Burrow versus the Chiefs. Burrowhead, no more. He's going to struggle like he did last week against the Patriots. The Bengals, they just look so bad to start the year every year for some reason. The Chiefs have a really good defense, and it's looking like T. Higgins isn't going to play. I'm nervous about the wrist. You kind of saw on the sidelines he was moving his wrist weird, and him projected as like the 10th highest QB for this week is a joke to me because I definitely don't see that, especially from last week. Joe Burrow, I am sitting him down. You're sitting on the sideline with me.
Yeah, I definitely think there's something wrong with him. He didn't look spectacular last week. I think he's more worried about his hair looking like Eminem. He's going to struggle. So I agree. I kind of want to walk away from Joe Burrow myself. So my sit is the other rookie that everybody was high coming into the year, Caleb Williams. He didn't have a great day last week going against Tennessee. I mean, he doesn't have that rushing upside like Jaden Daniels. He had 5 attempts for 15 yards, 93 passing yards. When you pass for under 100 yards, you should be the backup. So I'm really not high on Caleb Williams till he gets it going. Tennessee's not a bad defense. I want to stay away from Caleb Williams. I'm going to sit him down. Their receivers are hurt. 2 of the 3 studs are hurt. Keenan Allen's hurt and Roman Dunze. You don't know if they're going to play or they're, how healthy are they? Moore might be fed a lot, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to have a big fantasy production day out of Caleb Williams. I'm going to sit him.
Mm-hmm. Keenan Allen's probably going down those Nuggets again. All right, so my start for tight ends, I'm going to Kobe Parkinson versus the Cardinals. Parkinson was a pleasant surprise in the first game. He got 4 balls. Puka's going to miss some time, so potentially he's going to be in a larger role for weeks. And this offense is playing a defense that just blew a big lead against the Bills, so I like their chances. I think they're going to throw the ball a bunch since their offensive line's banged up. 4 of their starters got hurt, which is crazy to think. Mm-hmm. And if you're weak at tight end, pick Kobe up, start him this week. I think he has a good matchup.
I agree. I think you looked at my notes because he's my starting tight end. I think you cheated a little bit. No, clearly Kobe Parkinson's in store to get a big boost with Puka Nacua out. I think he's going to get a lot of the passes, looks his way, because I'm not sold on the other 2 Rams receivers. I think they like that little quick passes underneath, and I think Kobe Parkinson's going to have a big day. Last week he had 5 targets, 4 receptions, 47 yards. I mean, he outproduced some of those top-tier tight ends last week, and that was just a bad game for him. I think he's going to have a big week this week, so I'm going with Kobe Parkinson myself.
All right. My sit for tight ends, I'm going to Mark Andrews versus the Raiders. Raiders have a good defense. They limited Justin Herbert to 144 yards passing. When has Herbert ever only thrown for that much? And Andrews lined up more as a left tackle and just blocking than he did running routes. And I don't like that Isaiah Likely is emerging in that offense. I think he's their best playmaker, so it's getting harder and harder for Andrews to, get the opportunities, the receptions, all that. So I'd rather start Isaiah Likely than Andrews. That's why I'm sitting Mark Andrews till he can prove to me he can do more than a 5-yard out.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, in all reality, this should be a game he breaks out, but I'm still kind of scared about that. I think Isaiah Likely is going to line up, and they're going to have a 2 tight end set, and that's a guy that's going to steal some of your production when he's out there on the field next to you. So Mark Andrews had that accident right before the season started, didn't get much practice time in. I think he's a little rusty. I think it's going to take a few more games for him to get up to speed, but I can see sitting him as well. But my tight end, I really hate to sit him, but I'm going to sit Brock Bowers. He's going against the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense is pretty darn good. They're going to have 2 studs covering him. They're going to have Hamilton covering him and Roquan Smith on him. And I think they're going to shut him down. Plus, it's going to be a negative game script because Baltimore's favored by 9 points in this game. And I think the Raiders are going to really struggle throwing that ball around. And I'm scared that Brock Bowers isn't going to have that big productive day there, because the Ravens are just going to shut down the Raiders. It might be a low-scoring game for the Raiders.
Yeah, could definitely see that. No doubt about that. But that is week 2 of the starts and sits. Good job, Mike. You had some good picks there, finally. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like. If you're new, subscribe. Comment down what you liked, what you didn't like, who you want to play, who you don't. Just whatever. Love to hear from you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.